So here's what we've learned. What have we learned? Videos are big. File-wise, very big. Lots of stuff going on. The audio, the visual, the background noise, color shifts as the time of day changes. They're big. We also learned that doing really, really long videos and trying to put them into video editing software is good if you have a PC that can handle it, and I don't. We've also learned that maybe writing down when you're, making notes, writing down timestamps of when you're talking, when you're not, so that it can be easily edited and sped up rather than trying to watch through it all at a slightly advanced speed and work out when I'm talking and when I'm not talking, because that's taken fucking ages. So we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about videos. All of which probably, if I'd thought it through, I would have come to the conclusion of anyway. But I found another bit of software, another bit of software that seems to do what I'm after. So that's pretty good. Yeah, seems to do what I'm after, and then I can just delete the videos off my phone, which is becoming overloaded. Because basically I wanted to do like a fast forward thing while I'm going through these long form resources. Yeah, so I found one of them. I will start to mark down on my notes when the timings of stuff are. The question now is, do I go to my resources and keep going through it, or given the slightly increased pressure I've got at the moment with time, as in I don't have much of it, but I need to be doing this consistently, hence the videos, do I just start looking at stuff now? Because I need to build a show that needs to work through Zoom. The criteria essentially are 1, build a show, 2, work through Zoom, 3, I can market. So I can make some of the money, so I can do this as my job rather than ending up in the career path that I'm currently on. So yeah, I think what I'm going to start to do is do alternating days. So day 1 will be going through resources and blah, 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 and trying to scalp information out. Day 2, processing said information and working on the show itself. Because just getting the information out, again, this is sort of obvious stuff, but it's the mess ups that you need to make along the way. At some point, the previous few days video will be uploaded. One day, maybe, if I've got someone, if I've got an editor, which I don't. And if I have someone with a high-powered enough PC, I know a few, but it's like, and storage space on my phone, blah, 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 blah. So I think the idea now is that what I do, rather than watch through more of these and take notes, is now is the time, I think, to recompress and to get the general ideas across, because with the exception of one of the other, I think, on this thing, I don't know. I'm just sort of looking at it and wondering the worth in it all. You can hear my roommate behind me, in the next room over. He's not quiet on the phone, ever. It's quite funny. Very off topic. Stay back on topic. So, the ideas that I've got from the first 2 resources are simple. 1, you need to really be into what you're doing. And 2, magic's more powerful if you're trying to use it to talk about something. Well, that was his argument. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with it. Because, he makes the argument that you can just do tricks and just be entertaining, but that can lead to you just sort of doing trick after trick after trick and not necessarily conveying an idea, a thought, or a concept, or whatever across. You know, you're not a trick demonstrator, you're a performer. Classic. The notes that I've got are quite good. So I think what I do now is, rather than trying to get more out, I condense it down into a pure form. That's what I do half the time. And the other half of the time, I work out what I've got tricks wise and what I can string together. Because essentially, from the people I've spoken to elsewhere, so I spoke to who did I speak to? The session I spoke to someone, I can't remember, who was basically like, you need an opening trick, a closing trick, and you just build it from there. And interestingly, I think I've got a middle trick. It doesn't really work as an opener or a closer. I mean, it needs massive rescripting and massive work on it. But yeah, God, I've got so much stuff to look through and so little time to do it. I think I'm focusing too much on getting it perfect first time, whereas actually maybe having a routine and routines that I run through first, and then work on making it more me rather than the other way around. But then that falls into the same trap that the guy's talking about, which is, you know, making it more you is difficult, whereas starting with originality is more easy. Ironically. It's funny, of the two resources, neither of which the videos are up, I think, because of the lessons we've learned. Of those two, the first one was more entertaining, but the second one was much more value for money, I'd say, because the first one I got like a page and a bit out of it. But I think that, you know, it's interesting ideas more than anything else. Because the question is it's about why. You know? There's layers, right? So the most superficial layer is, what tricks are you doing? That I can probably sort within about, I give myself 4 hours and I can have the tricks together. But that's very much the most superficial layer, right? That's the sort of most basic trick demonstrator stuff, right? The layer underneath is, what am I trying to say with the magic? Okay, so what am I trying to say with the magic? I'm trying to just entertain? Am I trying to send a message? Am I trying to, you know, do I have a theme? Is there a narrative underpinning it? Essentially, the difference between a theme and a narrative is, narrative is controlled release of information, and theme is an underpinning idea that connects everything but doesn't necessarily need to go in a cohesive order. So all right, so I need to make this decision now. This does not need to be the best show on the planet. It needs to be good enough for me to get hired, but people don't really know much about magic. So, flight time is the single most important thing about Zoom magic. Well, no, any kind of performance, flight time is the most important thing. So, Okay. So do we do a deep? I hate how indecisive I can be sometimes. It's clearly rather annoying. Right. So I need to do some targeted reflection, so to speak, on why. Why do I like magic? I mean, obviously, to some level, it's because I'm an attention whore. Who isn't? I mean, at least in this day and age. This day and age. Sounds so weird. Makes people happy. I just have to start writing all this shit down to work out how much of it's superficial or not. I like the surprise element. So that maybe ties down to some idea about me. I mean, it's ultimately the whole "who are you as a person" thing. That's what it always is with art, isn't it? So, I do genuinely think it's that it makes people happy is one of the biggest reasons. The element of the surprise ties into that, but that's more of a fun thing. So why am I more interested in the element of surprise than anything else? Well, I'm not. Because it's unexpected? I mean, yeah, but why? Okay, so there's element of surprise. Is it because I'm surprising or I like to surprise? It's because I like the reactions. Is that? This is an interesting one. Why do I like magic? What is it that connects with me and magic? Why is visual surprising? Why do I like that so much? Because it's cool and because I want to be able to do it. Is it a showy offy thing for me? Yes, a little bit. Okay, so the attention, the being just wanting attention is too superficial. It's validation, I think. I think I get validation out of it, out of my we're going deep trauma here. Okay, we'll leave this line of questioning for a bit and instead go, what kind of magic do I like? The more important thing is why. Because it's, This is definitely not entertaining to watch. I'm 100% sure it's not entertaining to watch, so, oh, I think it helps people. I think magic helps people. Well, that's a fucking breakthrough, isn't it? I think seeing magic causes people to question what's possible. Not in the sense of, oh my god, what's possible in reality and whatever. And not even in the sense of if you work hard, you can do anything. I think it causes, for me, the way I view it is it causes people to question what their own abilities are. I think. Oof, it's a tough one. I think this is something I'll come back to for now. I think now instead I'll do something a little different, because I want to build a performance. And this is pivotal for me getting good. Absolutely. It's really, really important. Because if I understand why I'm drawn to magic, because you get the same buzz out of doing music or acting or whatever, right? Is it just that I like to impress and be a show off and that I like to shock? Maybe. But that's not what it's about, you know? I think I might do more work outside of just the videos because, it's fun, it's entertaining. I think I'll go through these notes quickly, the ones that I've made, and recondense them into my little book. This thing, wonderful gift from a wonderful friend. And if I can recondense these ideas down, maybe I'll get closer to the question more than the answer. Yeah, okay, so here we go. So, first one done, gone through, got a few little pages in my little blue book. Interesting questions, just interesting presentation ideas, the concepts of animation and movement. How do you make things appear real? Why do you want them to appear real? And ultimately, why am I interested in it? Just getting these questions down is a really, really, really good way of interrogating myself about this. Yeah, on to the next one, which was significantly less interesting, but significantly more notes. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. No, did I just drip? Oh, I think I'm good. I do realise I'm basically live streaming without an audience. Yeah, I'm aware of that. Oh no, I did drip. Oh bugger, that's right in the middle. Whoopsies. Okay, I go through as well. So yeah, that's the next one. So, questions. The ones that I've managed to scalp out of this, which are pretty good. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 questions. And among them, obviously, there's layers, there's, you know, differences between, well, there's a lot of similarities and overlap, because obviously these were two talks that were in a similar situation. So, all of them dumb down to a very simple question. Who am I? Which is a very existential one. Ultimately, the answer to that is whoever you choose to be, but that doesn't really help. So each of the other questions have some superficial layering that's quite similar in different respects. What makes me me? And what are the qualities and the things that make people like me and like interacting with me? Why do I like certain magical things more than others? You know, what is it about magic that fascinates me? Where is my authentic interest? What do I like, care about, and think is true? But ultimately, all of them are just basically the same question, right? All of them are, who are you? Now, at this point, I wanted to switch over to looking at tricks. Because I said the hour mark, right? And it's like an hour, 1 minute now. I mean, I might be interrupted in about half an hour anyway. And I have other things that are equally as important that I also need to get done. But let's take let's take one particular question. I'm just going to write this down. So, there are 2 or 3 different types of magic, really. You know, there's the whole stage and parlor and close up versus, you know, mentalism magic versus coins, rings, rubber bands, all that. But actually, I think that there are 3 different types, really, at their base core. Type 1 is animation magic, stuff that moves visibly. Type number 2, perceptual failure magic. Magic that happens, you know, but you don't see it. So the magic you see, the magic that happens that you don't see, and then the magic that happens. So perceptual failure will be like card to box, right? Or, you know, where you visibly go, oh, I can see it there, but I didn't see it beforehand. Right, Morten Christensen, I think, FISM winner for comedy magic. Perfect example of all this shit, right? Perfect example. So why do I like both? Because the third type is like, oh, your card has reappeared and it's 37th down. You know, like any card at any number. And those are great. But if I had a choice to perform only one trick for the rest of my life, it would not be an any card, any number trick. It would be a perception failure trick or an animation trick. So how do I focus in on that? Well, what tricks do I have that rely on that kind of shift or change? That's essentially the question, isn't it? What tricks do I have that can utilize that? Because that's the stuff I find cool and fun, right? So we've established one thing. It needs to either move or be on perception. Now, that might seem like a tough sell, and it probably is. I'll probably have to go back and change stuff and edit stuff and move stuff around. But visual animation, like for example, Sweet Dreams, I think it's called, by Luke Ozey, or Luke Osland, darling. That's really visual, just crazy visual. And it uses some perception failure involved in it, right? In like visual noise, all this kind of stuff, right? And I just immediately got it. So is it possible to do the perceptual stuff on Zoom? Yes, I think it is. Because I've seen it. I've seen it work on Zoom. I've seen it work through Zoom, so it does work. So if that's the stuff that I'm interested in, then that's the stuff I should focus on. Got it. Great. That question, tick. Now the question is, why do I like those? Right? And I think it's because it's the purest form. I think that idea, if you were a magician, it wouldn't be like, oh, it's 52 cards down. This is my issue with fucking card magic. I'm a card magician. I like card magic. I do card magic. But a lot of the tricks are very simply, you know, it's very clever card manipulation. And it might be wow, that's magic. You know, like I've seen some of the card stuff I saw again at the session blew my mind, right? Especially by a guy called Alex Moreau, I think his name is. It's something Moreau. Oh, I should look it up and check. So, Mr. Moreau, we'll leave it at that. But you know, there is benefit to tricks that, you know, sorry, there are tricks that are more than just perceptual failure and animation, right? There absolutely are. You know, there's all sorts, right? Transformation is another example, right? But even that's kind of a perceptual thing. Like Chris Ramsey's Voodoo. No, not Chris Ramsey's Voodoo. I think it's Raven's. She's got one where like an image of something appears inside the card. You know that, but that's magic. That's not like, oh, you're. I keep bragging on any card at any number, but oil and water is kind of the same thing. Matrix is the best example, right? No, hang on. What am I saying? Anything that happens under the cover of something else, like a really, really basic matrix, is I'm kind of on it because it's, you know, there's a level where people can work out some of it, obviously, but I don't know, it's just kind of bland. Obviously, it can be done well when stuff just suddenly randomly reappears and you don't notice it, but that's the perception failure stuff again, right? Like, obviously, I'm very card centric, you can tell. I don't know. The more I think about the statement I made earlier about it's either animation or perceptual or not, is very card based, actually. The more that I think about it, the more I disagree with myself. Because, you know, you've got Card to Orange and, you know, all the stuff like that. But then why am I not interested in stuff like Card to Orange? But I am interested in my own weird fruit-based tricks. I think it might be the authenticity problem where people I've seen performing it are just doing it because they're doing it because they know it's 7.5 minutes versus because it's a trick that they care about. It's the same thing for number squares, right? Like, mathemagics as a principle and a concept is very impressive, but it's not magic. It is not magic. Magic is something that is impossible. And it's improbable that you can do that ridiculous level of maths in your head. But it's like, well, I mean, you can clearly do it. You know? I feel that basic gambling stuff I view in the same way. Stuff like Richard Turner, amazing, brilliant. You know, his Delt thing, I've seen it live again at the session, but I've also seen him beforehand when I was living in Japan. But yeah, it's like there's a level beyond which, obviously, him being blind is an additional fact. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. I think, well, I do. But of course, the problem with animation and perceptual failures is, well, the problem with animation stuff is that it requires, you know, a lot of well, threads and stuff, and that's the immediate obvious answer. And all of the, oh, let me, you know, move it through a ring in a hand so you can see there's nothing there, just kind of, yeah, but we know it's still thread, right? It's what I quite liked about, oh god, what's the Thai dude's name? Oh, I can't remember. He does a moving card thing that's pretty cool. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about this too much like a magician. But the perceptual failures, or using stuff that's not perceptual failure as if it is perceptual failure, is very interesting to me. But that doesn't really tie into a magic concept so much. Okay, we'll put a pin in that, we'll come back to it. No, because the reason that I like it, the reason that it messes with me quite so much is that it's both, right? Like, not seeing something happen and seeing something happen and liking them a lot is an inherent contradiction, right? Like, and by not seeing something happen, I don't mean like, what's his name? Ben Hart's egg appearance with a fan trick, right? Because there's obviously the stuff you don't see happening, right? But an argument is that that is movement and animation, right? Because obviously there's stuff that you're not seeing happen. Alright, let me look this up. At some point I took a photo. Goodness me. When I was at Magic Circle in London, I took a photo of a particular, particular thing that outlined the 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or however many it is different types of magic, right? Because you can break them all down. All of it can be just sort of broken down to, you know, different layers. It was last year. When was it? It was about the time that I did my performance. So it's probably around August, I want to say. Okay. Right, well, I'm looking for this. So obviously, as I said, I've found a slightly different, oh, that's very pretty. Oh, that was all from when I was traveling. That was that. No, obviously, there's Ah, 10 types of magic, there we are. So, there is, wait for it, production, vanishing, transformation, restoration, transportation, transposition, escape, levitation, penetration, and prediction. Now, touching on Hoy by Luc Jamay, excellent version of a prediction. Penetration, you can't do penetration with Zoom, I don't think. I think transformation, restoration. Oh, but I'm getting sidetracked. Yeah, but I would argue that that list, which again from the esteemed Magic Circle, misses animation. Because levitation and, oh, well, psychokinesis, I guess. Hang on. So levitation, so movement then, I guess. Alright, okay. Obviously, I'm not going to be doing any escapology. This is all very chaotic and all over the place. So what makes, so, okay, let's go on to a slightly different one then. What makes me me? What makes people like interacting with me? Okay. friendly. I do genuinely want the best for other people, which is a bit weird to say given the outward perception of a lot of my friends. As in, I'm a horrible person to my friends in a jokey way that other people who don't know me get very concerned by until they know me. Okay, so what that leads to is no edgy shit. Fair enough. I can talk about death, but don't make it edgy. Yeah, okay, that's solved then, I guess. That one is solved, because that's a me rather than a magic question. It's about escape. See, I knew having a phone in the form of a programming rubber duck would be helpful. It's about escape, I think. Magic allows me to escape from the stories I tell myself. Holy shit. It's ironic that the type of magic I like the least is the most accurate. That's probably why I don't like it. Because it's all about, let me escape from, escapology, right? It's all about like, let me escape from these ropes and these chains and these whatever and nearly die in the process or whatever. But it's like, no, I'm already trying to escape. That's why I don't like it. So does that explain? Is it about escape? Is that it? No, I think there's more to it than that. I think it's a big part of it. It's fun, I enjoy it. But is that because it gives me an escape? Is it about me escaping or allowing others to escape? I don't know why this word has gotten itself seared into my brain. Because there's so many weird things, right? Like there's, I don't know if escape is the right fucking phrase, but it's like, it's not about me. It's about everyone. Everyone's just sitting here telling themselves stories about reality. When you can choose to make those stories whatever you want. Boom! Fucking yes. I'm gonna have to write that down because, well, I mean, I've got it on video, but. Oh, fuck, I've forgotten exactly what. I mean, I can now go through the video and pluck that on out. But it's about narratives. Life is about stories. Life is about stories. The kind of stories you live, the kind of stories you tell yourself. I I think I've been getting near to this for a while. Because the story you tell yourself about magic stuff moving, about animation, is it's moving by itself, which breaks the story, because the story is Newton's first law, right? And the perceptual failure stuff also breaks the story, which is I perceive the world. You don't perceive the world. I've known that academically for years, right? Like bachelor's in mostly psychology and neuroscience, so yeah, I know that. Oh, that makes so much sense. It's always been about stories and narrative. And of course, a lot of them are specialized, a lot of them are focused, but a lot of them are generalist. Oh man, brain's just going click, 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 click. That's funny. I mean, I have an answer to who I am now, but it's a little private, so I feel like I'm putting this online. So what are the methods I can use to tell a story? The story of life. It's a good name for a show, right? Well, that was incredibly informative for me, if nothing else. And I hope if people do end up watching this, I don't know when or why they would, it helps you on your artistic journey too, because that would be cool. Yeah, dope. All right. Did I just hear a knock on my door? I'll be back in a sec. Time to learn basic cutting and editing tools. I think everyone's a storyteller, really. But I think that understanding that that's what I identify with more than a lot of other stuff kind of helps with a lot of different things. Holy hell. Obviously, I'm, you know, that one little concept isn't something that's worthy of my entire life and dedication, but it's worth making a show on, I think. Oh, the patter writes itself now, goodness. Okay, so that's good. I think I will spend the rest of this, the next half an hour or so, and then the next, suddenly realizing I need the toilet. Next session, just working on idea generation for the show. And well, technically I need to be making 3 shows. That's the oof, really. That's the, because, you know. So yeah, all right. So I'm going to turn the light on properly because it's getting dark. Yes, it is an awful light bulb. Well. So. Now I could do this. As a extended performance, but I don't think it. Oh, ow! I don't think it works like that for this particularly well. So. My main central idea, because the shout out to Jonah Babbins and his marketing courses that he does. They're brilliant. Need to create essentially 3 different shows. One for the mid-tier, one for slightly less expensive, and one for the slightly more expensive. So, what is a story? Story of life, blah, blah, blah. What is a story? Story versus narrative, I prefer the word story. So what's the kind of thing I need? A quick, impactful opener. Right? Like that was one of the things that was established. So quick, full, and I need a closer, right? I need something to finish it with a bang. Am I going insane? Hallelujah. Quick, impactful opener. Sure, that's a good start. Literally. Impactful. So, something like a peering deck, for example, right? Or maybe Crazy Man's Handcuffs. Okay, but what's the structure? Can I do structure without tricks? Can I have a structure for a show without actually having any tricks to do with it? Because it's all about framing, right? Like you can have any trick work in any situation. Yeah. Um, there's a couple bits I'm going to edit out, but you know. See, now I've just had a sudden random idea for something else completely. Helpful, that. Right. So, can I create a... Because what's the message? The message is, be aware that you tell yourself stories. No, it's more specific than that. We are storytellers. And the stories we tell ourselves shape our world. So be careful what stories you tell yourself. Is it a warning? That's a bit preachy. That's very preachy. It's a bit of a bold spot there, isn't it? So, what are the various ideas? Okay, so magic is a story. Because everything is a story. Okay, magic is a story, everything is a story. Every magic trick follows a narrative beat. That in hindsight, every magic trick follows a narrative beat that in hindsight made sense. Or if it doesn't, the point is that it doesn't. Right. So, I think this is good grounds. I think this is good basis for something. I think now the thing I need to do is work out where and what and where I'm going with this, right? It's about narratives, it's about stories, it's about the stories you tell themselves, the story of life, right? So, I don't want it to be a warning. I want it to be a positive thing. And again, it's about framing, right? So, the stories we tell ourselves can... hang on, check for that quote. The stories we tell ourselves shape our reality. No. So, the stories. What is it about stories? It's about everything about stories. Life is stories. Fucking life is stories. Yeah. So, this is the work. This is the work I need to put in, and I'm enjoying this actually more than I thought I would. I'm stressed out about all the other stuff I also have to get done, but yeah, that's life. So, okay, what are the things I can have in here? Okay, so hero's journey, monomyth, which is what that is. Stories we tell ourselves. Ourselves. Magic of the story. I think the stories we told themselves I do the 3-card Monty. But I need to check that that works. Through a screen. And actually, I think that's a good way of restructuring that trick as a whole, because the way I'm currently doing it is Garrett Thomas's with my own script and my own presentational flair and style, but I don't like that I'm just using the moves beat for beat. It's not that I want to change it for the sake of originality, it's that I want to change it. Well, I mean, you should change things for the sake of originality, I feel. Being original and authentic, that's the whole blooming point, right? But I think that it's just not what I want it to be. And actually, I can add in the cognitive dissonance stuff too. Good. Okay, so the hero's journey. Everyone is the hero of their own story. But what does that mean? Where the fuck did that brilliance come from? I'm writing that down again. So, do I go from the most basic to the most complex? So, start with instinctive stuff like the TCM, or I mean, obviously, the argument is you just start and then you restructure it and you go through it as you're going. So, ironically, I think ambitious card, as much as I am on it, I think that concept of discovering a card over and over and over and over, I think that can work well in this. An invisible deck could work well, but doing it with an index, maybe? Invisible deck. Yeah, I'll add invisible deck to the list. So currently it's TCM, ambitious, a card appearing. I could go really classic and do like a I'll check with Mr. Owen about Monsieur Owen about which variation of Out of This World he likes, or what his entire thing is, but maybe that. And with that, I think I'll have to stop for now. I'll do another 20 minutes later. Well, that was eventful. It was just a package, not the person I thought it would be. So I had to run down and up 3 flights of stairs with my roommate's flip-flops. So, the question at its core is, build a show. Discuss, 20 marks. No, it is, where does the show go? We're talking about stories. I mean, this can very easily translate and shift to a business presentation thing. But it's not. So, that's card stuff. Coin stuff, the only stuff I'm good at and know kind of well is the body loading. And while I could change my coins across routine, that I think works better with people, although my sleeving is immaculate. I've got a nice close-up pad I can use, but the question is, well, time for another splice. So as you can tell from the difference in lighting, it's much later. I've been off for the last 2 hours or so. Essentially, I like saying essentially, don't I? I haven't really developed any ideas beyond the one that I have already outlined. So we've got card stuff. I don't like that there is as much card stuff as there is. I would like for there to be something other than just card stuff. As I said, coins across is a possibility. Maybe I spend the next session, because this session now is entirely just been working on principles, essentially. You know, I have so much material here. Not even just because, you know, I'm living in a flat in, you know, nowhere near where most of my resources are. But I still have so much here. It's not cards, it's not, you know, just normal stuff. So I think the next thing we do is we just look and see what there is, what I have that I can use that's not just cards. You don't want it to be the same thing the whole way through always, because people get bored. Yeah, but essentially the theory and the motivation and the theme of the show I now have. So it's time to work on the other stuff now. I'll look through the Ben Hart stuff, see if there's anything I can grab directly. I've got some Ben Hart stuff. The Darkest Corners, I think it's called. And I'll look through, just some of the stuff I have. I don't want to be doing the same stuff as everyone else. But the advantage of a Zoom show is it's both stage, parlor, and close-up all in one. I need to develop a setup for that properly though too, like backdrops, etc. I mean, looking at the books that I've got here, yeah, it's a lot of theory. It's a lot of theory. Well, we'll see. Maybe I learn a rope thing and I use it with a cable. Do a standard rope routine with a cable rather than a rope, because why would you use a cable? Why would you use a rope? Who carries around rope? But if I use it with a cable instead, which ties nicely into my other idea using vanishing and reappearing stuff. But then how do you make it personalized? Blah blah blah. This all makes sense to me. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. Again, I doubt this video will ever get any sort of numbers. So yeah. I've got the theming. I now just need to get everything else. Pick out how many routines do you need for a show. Let's be honest. 3 big ones and 2. I mean, I'll read through again what it says in Stage by Stage about beats and rhythms and stuff. I still need to finish reading that, and then just start putting it all together. So ideally by this time next week should have the basis for it. 14 hours, not 12 hours. It's not too difficult. But yeah, we see what happens. Now hopefully I'm going to be able to edit this properly into one thing, but see you tomorrow.